Welcome to Work, Play, Camping. This is a series where we take a camper, we put it on the back of a ute and we go on adventures. The adventures we're going on this time is I'm heading down to Feilding and we're going to join some old cars. I think the oldest is 1914 up to 1930 from the Vintage Car Club in New Zealand. So what we're going to do is follow these cars around the Feilding district, and there's 105 of them, so that's a fair lot of cars hooning around the back roads of Feilding. So this event is called the Highland Fling, and we're going to go down to Feilding and find somewhere to park, and I'm going to talk to Derek, and he's the organiser of the Highland Fling event there. So let's head down to Feilding and we'll find somewhere nice to park up for them. With me is Derek, and Derek, what I'd like to know is we're about to head off on the Highland Fling.
Yes.
Tell me about the Highland Fling. I mean, doesn't seem to be much. Highland Fling, I'm thinking of the girls doing the
dance and everything.
Doing the dance
yes.
on the cross swords.
I'm not quite sure why they. Yeah, it's more that it was in the Highlands of Taihape, so up in the high country, akin to the Scottish Highlands. So the Highland Fling, it was the name that was put forward, and that's why we have the mighty little Scotsman in his kilt and everything along those lines. And so they run it for 2 years at Taihape. It was meant to be in 2020 to start with. The first one was 21. 22, again the COVID restrictions came in about 2 months before the rally, so we had to postpone it again. So it happened last year in 23. And when I put my hand up and say, yes, I've got enough good quality roads and tracks and farms around here to do one or two. So they said, can you please make sure you carry on the Highland Fling name and everything like that, which is, there's no point rebranding something if you don't have to.
No,
and
ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's exactly it, and it works. The name stuck from the first 2 rallies we've had, so it's a continuation. People now know in the vintage car movement what the Highland Fling is.
Fair enough.
And it's just keeping the ball rolling this year.
So tell me about the cars. What's the oldest one?
The oldest car we've got on the rally is a 1913 Model T.
Wow, the brass.
Yep, brass T. Yes, yep. Chris Lawrence is coming in on this brass T.
And the newest?
The newest car, everything has to be pre-1932.
So it's 1932 is the...
Yeah, we've got a couple of 31s. There's no 32s because very few 1932 cars in the country as it is. Middle of the Depression, nothing came in.
Right.
But yeah, we've got a few 31 Model A's and 31 Chev. But it's a good mix.
So tell me, is the majority of them Fords and Chevs?
We've actually had a lot of Essexes this year.
Oh, Essex, that's right. Everybody had an Essex.
Yep.
That was another.
We've nearly got as many Essexes as Chevs, which is unusual.
And the odd bulls?
A couple of Willys Knights.
Oh, really?
Yep. A couple of Willys Knights, a couple of Chryslers. We've got one brave couple doing it on their Harley Davidson and side chair. So yeah, we've got 100. We had 107 for this. We had 2 pull out last night, unfortunately, so we're sitting at 105.
That's still a lot of cars.
It's a good manageable number. Yeah. You try and explain to a farmer, you want to take 200 cars through his farm? Yeah. Some of them aren't happy about it. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So 100's a good number. It's easy to control.
So the farmers, so you're coming along a road, and do the farms connect one road to another road?
Some spots, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll go through a couple. We'll go through one on. You actually know all of them do. We were going on Saturday. Each farm we get back out on a different road. So yeah, they go. See, 2 of them are shortish, but very interesting.
Yeah.
Nice little gullies and through up steep grassy hills and just yeah. I mean, it's anything not to be on the road. That's the name. As many miles as we can get, not on tar seal.
Fair enough.
That's the whole name of the game.
Yeah. Well. Now we'll go to the coach house in Feilding and we'll join all the people who've arrived to join in the Highland Fling run. So let's listen to Derek as he gives the instructions.
Hope you like the sunshine, because it looks like we've got it for the day. Right, when you're out and about, just remember New Zealand road rules apply. If there's someone coming up behind you, whether in saying old or new, let them go past, please, if you can. There are several roads or places you'll be on today. You won't have a hope in hell of getting past anybody, so just slow down and enjoy the scenery. Right, make sure you've got everything you need with you. Food, fuel, water, everything, because once you leave Feilding, you will not go past another shop till you get back to Feilding at the end of the day. So if you leave town without it this morning, that's it. You're going hungry or thirsty or whatever. Right.
So, as Derek was saying, there's 105 cars participating in this event, and they're off. So they're going to drive about 105 miles, not kilometres, miles. So that's one huge day ahead of everybody. But lots of exciting things are going to happen, and hopefully we're going to be there for them all. So 105 cars leaving the coach house, heading for one huge adventure. Well, we've arrived at the first farm, down a dead-end road, through the gate, and we come through this farmer's paddock. And as we travel along this farmer's paddock, there's a little bit of a hazard coming up ahead. It's been raining a bit, so there's a few little muddy puddles to drive through before we get there, but coming up there's a water crossing. This is a little river that runs through the farm. It's not all that deep, but this Cadillac, I think it's so long, I think the front wheels are out before the back wheels go in. It's a very big vehicle. And there's the little Austin 7, and it's got a little bit of water, touched something, and he's stopped midstream. But they've got contingency plans for that. There's a Jeep on standby, so if anybody did get stuck or the engine conked out or anything like that, the Jeep's there to pull them out and they can sort themselves out on the other side. Now the end of that tow strap goes onto the tow bar, and he's all set, and out she goes. But they'll just tow him up to the top. There's a little parkway up on the top there to they can sort themselves out and dry whatever they have to out. And the next guy comes in, and he also has got a very big car, very big indeed, a little boot arrangement on the back there. But he's through safe and sound, and as the next one, and this is also a little yellow car. And did he? Yes, he did. He's fine. So he'll make himself out the other side and go out to the main road. So now we have a collection of Model A trucks and other vehicles. There seems to be a lot of Model A's in this run. And a couple of Chevs trucks are in this as well. And here's another little Austin 7, and he's through no problem at all. Another little blue truck, that's quite cute. And another quite big car, and another little Ford truck. And here's an interesting little rocket, and little boat tail there, made of aluminium. And that looks like an old Essex. Well, look at that, all that water came through the little flutes on the side of the engine. Let's have a look at that in slow motion, yes? All that fan spread that water all over the engine, and of course he's conked out, something's got wet. And so the standby Jeep is added again. He'll set the tow up, and this guy can also lift that bonnet and dry things out on the other side. Interesting. So good on the organisers. They've got everything prepared and prepared for the worst if necessary. And I know there's a couple of trailers being towed about with utes in case anybody seriously breaks down, but I think this old Essex, which is what I think it is, will get towed out and he'll sort himself out, ready to continue. I think work and play ute campers are absolutely amazing. The campers are built for both flat decks and well sides, old and new. You have your ute for normal purposes during the week, and at the weekends you're off on an adventure. They also build purpose-built trailers, and they too cater for your work and your adventures. Give Rob a call on 027 273 7365, 027 273 7365. You'll be glad you did. And like this little sign says, all the cars must have chains on. And here they are. Man's got his chains rolled out, as has most others, and they're going to fit the chains to their back wheels, which of course are the driving wheels, and that's where you put your chains. It's just interesting that these old cars, there they are, a set of chains, these old cars rode on this type of road back in their time. Tar seal was probably just in cities and just here and there, but so most New Zealand roads, sort of 1900 through 1930, would have been just metal roads. And crossing this farm, it's a bit muddy. We're going to go up a bit of a hill, and by the time the third or fourth car's gone out, it's going to get ripped up a bit. And there's one of the new ideas. You just strap that little thing to your wheels and it helps you get up. More chains there going on. And some guys are strapping their back wheel up with rope. Well, let's change that one, but there are a couple of guys here that are going to do their back wheels up with rope. There's their car with those little knobby things on. Here we go, the first car up the hill. Well, the second car up the hill is a Model A. Another Model A is going to follow it up. Just out of sight, and it got up there no problem at all. And I guess the first cars that go up won't have any problem, but as the chains start to rip up the track, so will so you will need your chains. You can just see the track there. It's all just a bit muddy, a bit slippery, not much metal on it. And so if you haven't got chains on, of course you're going to do a bit of spinning. But that little car got up there, no worries at all, and he's through the gate. Somebody else arriving from way outside there, and somebody else is waiting to come up. Derek's going down to have a bit of a chat, see what the story is. And the Scotsman with his kilt, he's going to jump in and start driving. If you can see, I think that's the one with the rope on. Yes. So a bit of weight on the back there helps get it up. It's chucking mud around, even though it's got rope. And he's doing okay, although he's in a bit of a slide there. But still, the back wheels are making it. And he too, as I said, has got rope on. But it's got him through. Might just need a bit of a push just to get to that last little bit. But you can just see the rope tied to his wheels there to act as a gripping device to get him through. But just seems to slip and slide, so not as effective as chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys giving him a hand to push him for the last 20 or so metres, and he's through the gate and on his way. But there it is, that's the rope. Didn't work as well as chains, but it got him there. Next guy up. Ooh, he's got his chains on as well. Perfect. Down the bottom of the hill again, people are arriving the whole time. You've got to remember there's 105 cars that have got to go up this hill and through the gate. And he roared up there, no worries at all. The old Rio with the boat tail, beautiful car, beautiful. And next up is the Scottish headlights. His chains did him well, and another one. Very pleased to get up. There comes the little rocket, and I don't think he's got any chains on at all. He just came up, whizzity bang. Good on him. And another Model A, spinning, slightly crabbing. Those wheels are really spinning out the back. You can see the mud getting kicked away there as he drives this thing up and through the gate. And a couple of happy chappies. The next thing to do is have lunch, and everybody gathered in a place called Apathy, which is on one of the back roads north of Feilding, and they brought along their sandwiches and scones and a whole variety of interesting things to eat for lunch. Close up of that brass Ford there, that's the oldest car in the group. And what we're going to look at next is what's commonly known as a thermet. And a thermet was invented in 1929 by a man called John Hart. And there it is. And lots of people like the Ministry of Works and others use them to boil up the water for smokos. So here's a picture of most of the cars that are turned up at Apathy for lunch. I think work and play ute campers are absolutely amazing. The campers are built for both flat decks and well sides, old and new. You have your ute for normal purposes during the week, and at the weekends you're off on an adventure. They also build purpose-built trailers, and they too cater for your work and your adventures. Give Rob a call on 027 273 7365, 027 273 7365. You'll be glad you did. With me is Steve, and Steve, you're part of the Vintage Club?
I am, yes, of Manawatu branch.
Oh, okay, and they've got a pretty big membership of this.
Well, yeah, they have, yeah. This is, because this is nationwide, you know, they're from to south, north to south.
And they've all come here. 105 cars.
105 cars, yes, I believe that's the number, yeah.
And the oldest one's about 1931 or 2.
Well, they're the newest.
Oh.
They're the newest ones. Yeah.
I see we've got a brass T.
Yeah, well, he'd be a veteran. He'd be sort of in the, I don't know, the 10s or the 15s.
Wow.
So he's 110 years old. So
what you've got here is an Austin.
Austin 7, yeah.
Austin 7. And the British, when they sort of decided that that's their, Austin, this is our sports car. Well, this is certainly not a family car.
Well, this is a special. So it would have started out as a sedan of some sort.
Oh, okay.
And we've made a new body for it.
Right, fair enough.
So, which I've done over a few years, about 10 years ago. It's not the normal thing that the factory would have built.
Oh, okay.
They did build old things called Ulsters, which were similar to this, but this is my own creation.
We saw you go through a creek the other day. That looked pretty impressive. Did you get through, or did you?
We got through. Yeah, I was optimistic that we would make the other side, but I had my passenger with me who would have pushed if we hadn't.
Oh, okay. So you out there?
Exactly.
Yeah, so what would this weigh roughly? Sort of.
Well, not much.
200 kilos? Maybe?
No, about maybe 450 kilos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
right.
Without the passengers.
Right.
So with a couple of people on board, another couple hundred kilos.
Yes. So getting around the course over the last couple of days.
No problem.
The roads are pretty, they're corrugation.
Corrugation, yeah, that's right.
No problem.
No, well, we felt every one of them.
And do you get over those roads much yourself?
Nothing we didn't. Oh, well, no, not well. Well, not the farm roads, but certainly the public roads. Yeah. It's par for the course.
Sure.
For vintage motoring.
Yes. Looking at your little dashboard here, I think that's sort of typical British.
Typical British, yeah.
The instruments, but I just love your your little
glove box.
Glove box. I doubt if I get my big hand.
Well,
maybe it's for stamps or something.
A packet of chewing gum.
Packet of chewing gum, that's
yeah,
right. And you see some of the little, the backs on some of these trucks, you put 2 crates of beer in.
Oh,
exactly,
4, that's right. Yeah.
So tell me about the little boot you've got here. Can you put anything in there?
Yeah, bit of luggage, pull the seat forward, and
there's a hole in behind there?
A hole in behind. Luggage goes in, and you've got enough. You travel light,
Now, I've also noticed there aren't any doors.
No, you've got to be athletic.
Can you give it a demonstration? So you just leg over the seat.
And in you go,
Foot down and then slide down the back of the seat.
Then you're in.
And
Look at that.
I'm not even going to try. Then you've got to get out.
Getting out, that is the next problem, getting out. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, so.
Steve, thank you very, very much.
A pleasure.
Next we're up on top of the hills east of Palmerston North, and there's one huge wind farm up there, and there's windmills. There's actually more windmills up there than you think. Sure, you see a lot when you come either way towards the mountains that have got the windmills on them, but once you get up there, there's actually more windmills than you think. There's 105 cars that have got to come up this hill and all turn around. And some of them will stop up here for a bit of a look at the windmills and out to the views that are absolutely stunning. And they've opened up a gate on the other side of this, so they're going around the block, as it were. Here's our work and play camper that Linda and I are driving. And as you can see off to the left and in front of us, lots of windmills. And while we're travelling along this, if you look far enough out, way in the distance, you can actually see Mount Ruapehu with Tongariro next door, way out there in the distance. So we arrived on top, and everybody stopped for a quick cup of tea. And as I said before, everybody has to bring their own lunch and morning and afternoon tea. So a lot of people have decided to stop at this entranceway, which takes us back down to the main road to have a quick cup of tea. See some of the cars coming down along the windy road that takes us back down to the main road. Anyway, next we're going to have a chat to Andy Fox. With me is Andy Fox, and Andy, have you enjoyed this weekend?
It's been a great weekend, Bill. We're from dry North Canterbury, so it's really nice to get up to the North Island where there's green grass and doing your favourite hobby, which is driving old cars around the place.
So you've certainly got the biggest, I think. Is this the biggest one of the...
I'd say. At lunchtime we parked an Austin 7 next to it, and it looked like it was the biggest, but yeah, I think it's safe to assume that.
Yeah, right. So it's a big car. How long have you had it?
1927 Cadillac, and I bought it in 2016, and it was discovered in the Australian outback in the late 60s, early 70s, and an Australian owner put it back on the road. It's never been restored, and then he immigrated to New Zealand about 2000, and I got to know him in Christchurch in the early 2000s, and then he decided to sell it in about 2016, I think.
So how many of these rallies have you been on with it?
So this is its first rally. I've got other vintage cars that I do the Irishmans in Canterbury with, and this is my second time that I've come up to the Highland Fling, and this is kind of I wanted to bring this car because it's well suited. Its paint job has good patina,
yes,
and so it's well suited for these Irishman Highland Fling type runs. But it's his first one, and it's so far, touch wood, it's actually gone pretty well. Yeah.
Well, you've been in front of us, you've been behind us, you've gone up hills like that. Is it a straight 8?
V8.
Oh, V8.
V8. Cadillac in 1915 went to V8, and then all their cars were V8, and then of course in the late 20s, early 30s, they produced a V12 and a V16.
Wow. So there's a special thing about your car. Would you like to tell me what that is?
Yeah, so When this was discovered in Australia in the 1960s and 70s, it was in reasonable the body wasn't rusty, but a few of the components weren't up to it. So the guy went to America and sourced parts for this car and another Cadillac, and he got talking to this guy, and he had instruments for a 27 Cadillac, and back in the day he was Al Capone's mechanic, and so that his Capone's car had required the instruments to be replaced, so he'd kept the ones that he'd taken out, and in 1970 sold it or gave them to this Australian guy, and so they're actually in the car, hence the car's name is Eliot.
Eliot Ness.
After Eliot Ness, who is the FBI guy that put him away for tax evasion.
Tell me about your running boards. Do you get people to stand on them just a sort of quick drive to the dairy to pick up something?
No, I don't. But in weddings and stuff, I've had the bridal party on the girls on one side and the boys on the other. So, yeah.
Well, I remember, when trucks had running boards, that's going back sort of pre-1950, the driver would get his right foot on the running board, his left foot on the accelerator, and he'd drive the truck standing outside the thing backwards. So he could doing that so he could see where he was going. When he gets close to where he wants to go, he gets back in it and stops it. But that was the way you did it back in the day. I even done it myself.
You've got to pump this up to put air into the fuel tank to push the fuel forward. Once you start the engine, the air compressor starts up and does it. Retard the spark, ignition on, and you can tell that is a V8. It's got even though it's an old V8, it's still got that distinctive noise.
Wow, excellent. There's a bit of a hold up, and
getting a bit cooler,
we're going to
isn't it?
wander along and see what the problem is. But everybody seems to be stopped, and so we'll wander along the cars and see if we can find out what the story is. A little mention about bums here.
Well, look, I was admiring your bum, but I didn't like to mention it.
So there's a group of people who have decided to have a little tipple along the way, and the ladies too are enjoying a little tipple as well. So the problem is this, there's a bit of a hold up down the bottom. Somebody got stuck going up the hill on the far side of this, and so everybody has to wait until they cleared the road and allowed the next one up. So here's that hill, and one of the cars racing to the top. You can see the old Cadillac parked off to the side there, but he's giving it a good go. It is quite steep, and if you didn't get it the first time, I guess you got to back down and have another go. But there they are, all lined up, coming down the hill, and here's our person that's raced up the hill, climbing very, very well. And you've got to remember, this is what the roads were like back in the 1920s and 30s. Good on them, wonderful. So we've made it to the end of that farm, and so we've come in way across the other side, gone through the farm, but the cars, as I was saying before, they're all built for this sort of road, and they all cope with it very, very well. So we're on our way back to Feilding.